Good evening, guys. Tonight's episode, I'm pretty sure I'm going to title something along the lines of Wrestling is way harder than Jiu-Jitsu. So, I love both sports, and I'm only kind of saying it in jest, but I have the pleasure of working out and training down at the gym Ivan Salivary MMA in South Lake Union. I've been going there for a couple of years now. Started out doing the jiu-jitsu stuff, and maybe a couple of years ago now, I had gone out to a dinner with a group of people from the gym and sat next to the wrestling coach. And this dude is what you might call a maniac. Anyone who's trained at Ivan's knows the wrestling coach, great guy, very lovable character, successful in his personal and professional life. But when you get him in the gym and he gets to let his hair down and revert back to his old wrestling days, the dude is a Neanderthal, I think might be one way to put it. And so sat next to this guy at this dinner a couple of years ago, and he made me promise, hey, come to my class next week. And it's a class, it's once a week, and I've pretty much been going ever since. I may have missed some time here or there, and I know I've gotten shoulder surgery. You can see the scar. And so that had me out of combat sports, wrestling and jiu-jitsu for maybe at least 6 months. It may have been 6 to 9 months in that range. And so I love both sports. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I just came back from wrestling class. I don't have a lot of intellectual horsepower tonight. I'm sure if I get a little wound up, or if I were to read something that got some thoughts stimulated, I could probably get going. But I was sitting here like, man, I'm smoked. What am I even going to talk about? I can't think of anything. And why is that? And it's like, oh, because I'm so exhausted from the wrestling class I just did tonight. So I figured, well, I'll let the internet world know that if jiu-jitsu is great. Obviously, I love grappling, and I think all combat sports are awesome. Boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, but I have got to give a lot of respect to the wrestling world. I mean, if you just look at those athletes from the college wrestlers to the Olympians, those dudes are specimens. And to be able to control another human being in that way, it's and the comparison as well, right? Because the title of this video being, wrestling is way harder than jiu-jitsu, is just the explosiveness and amplitude, right? So typically when you're training no-gi grappling, many gyms are starting in doing groundwork where you're assuming a takedown has already happened, or you have one grounded opponent and you're trying to pass a scar and work for a submission, which is an awesome skill to sharpen. I super enjoy training in that capacity, but after having done for a couple of years now a light amount of wrestling, just a bit, to at the time, and I guess still, I had come at it with the mentality of, hey, if I'm going to be competent in this game, in this sport of grappling, a sport of trying to maintain control, get into advantageous positions, and then submit your opponent, or force them to tap out with either a choke or a joint lock. Well, if I'm gonna continue to do this sport as a hobby, it seems like a useless, not a useless, but it seems like an unfinished project or a not well-rounded skill if I don't have the ability to put someone on the ground or to keep myself from being put on the ground. And that's where wrestling comes in. And I think even some of the greats, like the John Donahers of our era, probably the best jiu-jitsu coach in the game right now, talks about the week. And I've watched a video that he did with the BJJ fanatics where he talks about the reasoning behind why there's a lot of weakness or blind spots in the stand-up game of jiu-jitsu players. And the reasoning is sound. It's interesting, and it makes a lot of sense. It's the points are not awarded to players if they have good wrestling, and people can kind of strategize around it. So there's not a high return on investment as far as training that skill set goes for the highest level athletes, or even for just local hobbyists / competitors, as well as the amplitude of it, where hey, especially if you haven't grown up doing it, which I did not grow up doing either of these sports. I picked them up later in life as a hobby. But the takedowns, the going from your feet to the ground in wrestling, there's a lot more chances for big throws or big sweeps that can knock the wind out of you, things like that. Whereas in, I think, general or relatively speaking, jiu-jitsu, having already started on the ground, you may not have some of those big falls that you would in wrestling or judo. So anyway, just making this video tonight because, again, I had a productive day at work, which was awesome. And then Wednesdays now, I'm teaching one of the beginner jiu-jitsu classes at Ivan's, which if you're in the Seattle area, if you're considering picking up the sport, 4:30 South Lake Union, Ivan Salveri MMA. Come check out my beginner class. And so now these days I'll stick around for the wrestling class right after that, and it just takes it out of you. I've already drank a couple of these, put a hydration pack in one of them, had a solid salad for dinner. So I'm feeling good, feeling spent. And that's, I think, all I got for tonight. So thanks for those of you tuning in. I'm seeing a little bit of action, some views on the videos, which is awesome. And again, let me know what you want to talk about. I think my interests surround fitness and jiu-jitsu, lifting now being kind of a new thing that I'm trying to figure out, and as well as economics and politics. Something I think I was in a big way turned on to by Peter Schiff, or maybe just being in small business. And what else? Let's see. Yeah. And business. Business is a big one. And business and investing and personal finance. So let me know what you guys you're into. Would love to, again, put out thoughts and commentary for the world. And engage with people and meet new people, and it's actually pretty cool. Again, going back to one of the video I posted on libertarianism, I got a comment, and I wonder if the dude just copy and paste that onto everything that is. He just finds anything and just posts that one thing, because it was long. I mean, I'd be impressed if he wrote that up special for that video, but it was like 4 paragraphs, and it was a breakdown of his path into that ideology and different authors. And now I'm making an effort to read some of the things he recommended, because I already happen to have some of the books. I just hadn't gotten around to picking them up yet. And then I also just started a speech by a guy named Murray Rothbard, which was kind of the final recommendation from this individual. So that's been pretty cool. And also, again, on other social media platforms, trying to put out, again, just some of my thoughts, my likes and dislikes, has gotten some interesting feedback and some not like-minded people who jump on and, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't make any sense, yada, yada, yada. Which anyone who knows me knows I love to debate and argue and hash out ideas and be really stubborn about trying to prove a point. So yeah, I enjoy that little intellectual sparring. To me, it's fun. So that's been cool. And then as well as some like-minded people. So people commenting on one of the bodybuilding videos I posted, and hey, other guys who are into these lifting people that I've just come across. So anyhow, that's all I got for tonight. Hope you all are doing well. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.